welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today.
What's so funny?
Hey, my name's Will, and I'm joined by my my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I was thinking how a couple of weeks ago Karen said, "Hey, do you all control the comments?"
Mm-hmm.
And we said, "Yes, we all do, but we have someone who does it for us, usually during the show."
Mm-hmm.
And Karen's writes like, Karen, I don't know how you intuited this, Karen, but we're going to be talking about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F today. She writes, "Hey, I did watch the new Axel Foley. Barely got it in, but I watched it on Sunday night." And then our account, 1980s Now, says, "I just squeaked it in too, Karen." Who's that? 1980s Now?
It could be me.
The entity?
The company? I mean, a robot?
I should have put dash cat.
That's why I laughed. 'Cause
Did we have like a corporate Zoom meeting where we all watch the film together?
It's the opposite of the royal we.
yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cat, is that what? Opposite of the royal we?
Yeah,
Is that
Peasant
pauper
eye?
me? What is that?
The pauper eye?
Peasant.
The pauper me.
I like that. Popper me.
Poor me. Yeah, hey, on today's show, we're going to review Beverly Hills Cop Axel F and talk about all the delicious Easter eggs, homages, callbacks to the original films, and another film franchise, maybe, right?
I think so.
Before that, though, we're going to review current news stories, just a couple, because some of our other news stories are going to be baked into our discussion about the Beverly Hills Cop film. The other non-Beverly Hills Cop news stories are going to be, let's see, there's a Time Bandits TV show trailer, and I love the movie, so we got to talk about that.
Yes.
And the only other non-Beverly Hills Cop news story is there's a Mr. Miyagi mystery about to be unpacked in the new season of Cobra Kai.
That's a bit of a tongue twister, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miyagi mystery.
You pulled it off well.
Miyagi mystery. Yes.
Yeah, and that's all. Hey, I guess we'll. I don't know. I don't know that we'll be able to do a non-spoiler and spoiler thing, but you know what? I feel like Axel F is a kind of thing that you can't spoil it.
No, you can't. And I have a little anecdote about it.
And I think
Tell you what? No, you can't really spoil it.
all right, maybe we have the same thing, but I'm thinking who.
I think we have a different.
Okay, the big bad in the movie, this actor who plays the bad guy,
Right.
they have two types of characters they play. Villains or like lovable characters, I'll say. And they use two distinct voices. That's the range of their abilities.
Yep.
So once you hear them say one of those, you know what they're going to be.
Yes. That is.
You know, I watched some YouTuber that I watch who normally does like plot explainers. So I went looking for, actually I was looking for Easter eggs to kind of educate myself on the Easter eggs. And he says at the beginning, I was going to do a plot explainer, but it's Axel F. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't need much explaining.
Yeah. We could tell you the whole story and it wouldn't be ruined. It still, I think, is fun.
Yeah.
As it,
Isn't it? He gets himself where he's not supposed to be.
Right.
And,
Tongues
there's
his way out
some
of it.
kind of crazy chase. And yeah.
Right. Hijacks atypical modes of transportation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
There you go. Yep.
John is
Axel
saying
Foley.
atypical, not atypical.
Right.
Exactly.
Multiple atypical modes of transportation.
Yes.
All right, we're going to talk about all that in just a moment. But first, let's get caught up on 1980s news, non-Beverly Hills Cop Axel F news. Now, I was going to, record the little a theme, the boop, 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 just to play that like every time we talk about something. But I thought, how many times YouTube and or Facebook Live's going to cut that out and silence that?
And they're probably hyper diligent right now.
Yeah.
Because so many people are using it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It drives me crazy because so often, when we get, now we've never had a copyright strike. We've had, copyright notices on YouTube where they say, hey, you can't make money off of this song because someone says they own it, or it won't, your video can't be shared in certain countries because you included this song. And on Facebook, they'll say, we silenced your video because you. I don't know if that means they silenced the whole video or just that portion. I never even go back to look at it. I'm like, whatever, fuck these people. But the dumbest thing about it is, where you look. First of all, from a legal standpoint, we're fine, and I get that's not the point.
Yeah.
But we're helping promote their shit. It isn't like we're making money off of it. We play the song. Someone might want to go buy it. I mean,
Yes. They might
And
get
we're not using it
reminded.
as a music bed, right? It's that song is to punctuate and emphasize only that song was needed here.
Yeah.
And I know YouTube recently rolled out an audio eraser that has the ability to remove a music but leave the voice. To which I say, what's the point?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If we're talking about it, this is my favorite song. Cricket, cricket, cricket. And
Right.
or replace it with something else, even worse.
Oh.
I should have recorded the notes individually and just played them out of sequence. Beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. It's hard to
Iconic.
do that without. All
You
right,
just
hey.
fall into it.
In 1980s news this week, as reported by The Verge, the time heist begins in the new Time Bandits trailer.
Yeah. Did we know about this?
Yeah, we talked about it.
We talked about it
did?
back when we were talking sequels long ago.
Yeah.
Fell out of my head.
Yeah.
I don't recall, and I don't have noted here when they first announced this was going to be a thing, but here it is. It just, oftentimes I find this is true. Like, I'm waiting for something and hoping there'll be a second season, or they really came through with something, and then there's a trailer. I'm like, oh, they really did it, and they've already completed it. This is fantastic.
That's how I felt, except I was not anticipating it. I was like, whoa, where did this come from?
I had no idea.
No.
In the official trailer for Time Bandits, the new Apple TV Plus series from Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, it seems to revel in every bit of the dreamlike pseudo-reality of the 1981 film that we adore. The show focuses on Kevin, much the way the film did, following this one character. By the way, this young actor's name is Kal-El. Kal-El Tuck. I couldn't find out, confirm who his parents are or that they're, big Superman fans, but I'm sure they must be.
And you'll never find out. That's a closely guarded secret.
Yeah.
Yes.
He may be from the planet Krypton. Yeah. But Kevin finds a time portal in the back of his wardrobe. And I got to tell you, seeing that part in the trailer was really thrilling to me. I love that aspect of it. It recalls for me even that, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe cartoon as kids that we had, and that really sort of sparked a lot of whimsy and had me constantly going in my closet and like looking for levers and banging on the wall, upsetting neighbors. Anyway, he finds his time portal and ultimately he hooks up with a gang of time-hopping thieves. The TV series is set to premiere on July 24th for Apple TV Plus subscribers and runs for 10 episodes, each a new episode coming out every week after that. You guys watched the trailer?
Yes.
Yep.
What'd you think?
John, you want to go first?
Well, I knew it was coming, so I'll talk about it first. We might have talked about this before, but if we hadn't, the fact that it's Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement gave it an extra bit of cachet for me because I love their work with What We Do in the Shadows and the whole vampire mythos that they've created on that film and that series. I loved Jermaine Clement as part of Flight of the Conchords, and whenever he and Taika Waititi get together, even though I don't like Taika Waititi as a guy, I think I like him as a creative.
Oh.
When I've seen him interviewed, he seems like a real jerk.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But I like what he creates.
I like what he creates too. Yeah.
And the last little bit I wondered was, I wonder if Terry Gilliam had absolutely anything to do with this or any say. I don't think he owns it or anything, but like Taika Waititi, Terry Gilliam is kind of a jerk too, but a great creative. And I think if anyone was going to be upset, he would be.
Wow. Interesting.
I'd have to look up our old story, John, but you're reminding me. I'm getting a flash of, I think when we talked about this, Terry Gilliam hadn't been asked to be involved at all. And he was sort of coming out saying, hey,
It's bullshit.
I'm alive. Yeah.
it's my loop. Anyway, while the series is an adaptation of Terry Gilliam's film, the trailer makes it clear it's also its own thing with different characters, time periods, and situations. Although in the trailer we do note there are some Easter eggs and homages to the earlier film that I don't know if they're looking to connect it or just trying to give us little reminders or ties to the thing. Kat, I'm sorry. I
So
didn't.
what was your? Sorry,
okay.
I was going to say, what was your impression, Kat? I know that you didn't even see it coming. So
Well, okay, so I have two funny experiences. One, back when I first started listening to this podcast, before I was even a part of it, Time Bandits was mentioned a couple of times, and I was like, "Huh, I gotta watch that. What is this movie?" And then I watched it, and I realized I had seen it as a
The
kid.
day before.
No, when I had cable in the 80s.
But
And
then I had that head injury.
yeah, clearly, it was one of those amazing moments of like whoosh, it had
Yeah.
just been rushing back, especially the scene where they're hanging in the cages. Oh man, I was like, oh, I have seen this. So that was a funny experience in 2021 when I rewatched Time Bandits. And so now here I'm like, what? They're remaking it? And I completely forgot about us talking about it. But I will say, I am looking forward to it. It looks like it has good humor going on in there. I greatly appreciate comedy. I like to giggle my way through things, as you may have noticed. And it looks like I could possibly do that for this. But I guess it's not a movie, so it's a series.
Right.
Initially, I thought it was a movie. All right. Yeah.
Did
it
you
looks
give
the
us
kind of whimsical, fanciful, over the top kind of stuff that
Yeah.
I usually like.
Yeah. And what will?
Kat, were your 2 points baked into your comment then? I wasn't I couldn't keep track. You said
I'm sorry,
first,
I
and then you
was
never
scattered.
said second.
I never said I think the first was thinking I'd never seen it and then being like, oh, I have seen this. And then 2 was, what? They're redoing this movie? And oh, wow. And realizing we had talked about it and I'd forgotten.
Will's taking notes.
Yeah, I'm
I
summing
had
this up.
2.
So your first point was, what? This movie? And your second point was, what? This movie? You summed it up. What did you guys think about, Kat said, she appreciates humor in these types of things. I know John loves time travel. What did you guys think about the casting of Lisa Kudrow, at least as we were able to see her in these, couple of minutes?
That was so funny because it took me a minute. I'm like, why is she familiar? Why is she familiar? Oh, and I figured it out. And I'm curious to see more. I'd like to see what more she can do in here. I found her to be funny in the trailer. So I'm okay with it.
You know what's good for me is I never watched Friends, so I have no Kudrow baggage.
Okay, there you go.
What I've seen her most in was a web series where she was a psychologist. And that's where I really got to know her modern sensibility of humor. And so that mapped right over to the character that I saw her portraying in Time Bandits. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, I didn't have any of that baggage.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen her in a few things, including Friends, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about it where I thought, I guess this is my thought. I have nothing against her.
What is
She's a
it?
fine actor.
But
They couldn't pick anyone else better.
Chris
I don't
Pratt.
know.
maybe they could have got Chris Pratt.
No. I mean, it could have been a man or a woman. That's not even my issue with it. I don't know. There's something about her sensibility, and maybe it's because, the original film, which was written by Terry Gilliam and co-written by Michael Palin, both guys who came from Monty Python.
Yes.
Originally, Terry Gilliam's the only American member of Monty Python. That it has his Terry Gilliam's films have that dry sort of British sensibility to them,
Which I love.
and I
love,
felt
love,
like
love.
she was trying to kind of put that on, try to get with that tone.
Okay.
And I don't know. I didn't buy it. I don't know. It's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I bought it.
Interestingly, I don't have any idea what the personalities of any of the other thieves are because I was the only one who really had any lines in the
Yeah.
trailer.
True.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of an overload. And I would expect these thieves to be a ramshackle group of people, not some compatriots who decided to band together, but rather ended up together. So
Yeah.
the more awkward they are, the better for me to replicate what Gilliam did, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
In general, are you guys okay with this? Because it's kind of a reboot, right? It's not a continuation.
We don't know yet,
No.
do we?
Well, that's true. I guess
Yeah. I
maybe
mean,
we don't
I guess
know.
except for the fact that it's a different set of thieves. It's still a character named Kevin, and they seem to have met for the first time. Yeah, no, I guess it didn't look a reboot. Yeah, definitely a reboot.
Must be.
Would have to
Okay.
Yeah, now I think of it.
Yeah, and along the lines you're talking about the bandits themselves specifically, we don't get to hear a whole lot from them. But one of the controversies about this TV series was the casting, because you'll recall in the original film, all of the Time Bandits were played by little people, led by David Rappaport, who was a fantastic actor who came to a tragic end, unfortunately. But fantastic in that movie. There was Kenny Baker was in that movie, and a bunch of other actors. And so in this, they're going with all what would you say, full sized? I don't know what the proper antithetical adjective is.
Right. Yeah.
Non-little people. They didn't cast little people. We get a glimpse in the villain's lair of some little people. So I mean, maybe they're playing the villains this time, whereas. In the original film, it was sort of the opposite.
I wonder. Yeah, maybe they're flipping.
I had made that connection.
Around.
Good guess, though.
One of the things I saw pointed out was how clean this world looks as compared to Terry Gilliam's aesthetic, which in all of his films is grimy and dirty and lived in. And even if it's not a dystopian world, it looks dystopian. And this,
Grubby.
I don't know if it's not even just the lines of the fact that this seems, again, like we talked about last week, it was shot digitally, so it has that kind of too clean to be real almost look, but the costumes seem bright, and Jermaine Clement's costume looks like David Warner's costume, very similar, but very bright red, and look, he just got back from the cleaners. Some of that stuff irked me somewhat.
Yeah, well, it's a stylistic choice, and I mean, like you said, you look at like Brazil or something that isn't. I mean, I guess it's dystopian-esque, but it's not filthy, but it is filthy anyway, and that's just you're only going to get that from Gilliam, hopefully,
right?
And so these guys take a different direction. It didn't bother me because, like I said, that whimsy, that fantasy. I want to be able to see it. I don't want to go, what am I looking at? Well, what is in the cloud there? I want to be able to see the thing. And it looks like we'll see the things.
Right. Well, maybe these guys will acquire their grime over the course of the series.
Yeah, right.
They have
like
time.
Big Ben.
There's a cloud following them.
Yes.
Eventually.
There's time for that to build up.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope I'm able to disconnect them. I love Time Bandits and all of Terry Gilliam's films so much that right now, just watching the trailer, I was like, well, this is no David Warner. And
No, it's not.
no one could compete with how evil he seemed in no matter what role he played.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, I suppose. Of course, and I see here Butter Spider in the comments says, I love Time Bandits. I've seen it probably 20 times over the years. Apparently, the news of the new show is news to him. Says, definitely looking forward to seeing this. Oh, and also, haha, Kudrow baggage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Butter.
As I mentioned, the original film was co-written by Gilliam and Michael Palin, directed by Michael Palin. It was financed by George Harrison's, what was it? His Handmade Films, a movie company. Harrison also contributed some of the songs to the film. It had a bunch of cameos in it, including John Cleese, Shelley Duvall, Katherine Helmond, Ian Holm, and starred a bunch of other folks, like I mentioned. It was on its initial release. It was received a lot of praise from the critics and opened at #1 on the weekend box office in U.S. and Canada. By the end of its run, it grossed $36 million on a budget of just $5 million. Gilliam
Sparked my memory. I think the Pythons have a history of musical backing. I just recently learned, I didn't realize this before, that Holy Grail was backed in part by Pink Floyd.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that either.
Ooh.
Yeah, and not just them. I can't remember who else it was, but when they were looking for funding, you can imagine these rockers who have money they don't need, but they love, British humor. Who didn't love Monty Python? I mean, so they got funding from several rock bands to make, and still did a shoestring budget, but to make Holy Grail.
That's so cool. For this trailer for Time Bandits, it took me a minute. My brain knew what I was hearing, but I just didn't register the B-52 song that was playing.
Oh, yeah, Rome, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
I thought that was
Appropriate.
Whatever, that's fine. That bugged me too.
Bugged you?
Gilliam,
Why?
I don't know. It's not a song that sparks, I guess, sci-fi fantasy to me, or time travel, or adventure. It's not. I want to hear some kind of swashbuckling something. I mean,
Yo ho, yo ho.
no, I don't know.
He needs the
John,
wellerman.
John mentioned Brazil. Gilliam actually characterizes Time Bandits as the first in what he refers to as the trilogy of imagination. It's Time Bandits, Brazil, and the Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Oh,
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Same
I love all
flavor.
those films. Yeah, he's got this ability too. There's some other directors of that era that were able to pull it off using models, practical special effects and models in a way that's super convincing.
Okay,
with the scale. In all those films, he does that. Like you were mentioning, the cages cat at that one scene with the cage. I mean,
I love that
he has
scene.
this sense of size and the whole, I guess, quote unquote hell.
Yes.
A lot of it's done with camera trickery and scale models and such.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, another 1980s news, as reported by Screen Rant. Cobra Kai's this final season of Cobra Kai will reveal a Miyagi mystery.
Oh.
Now, while the show looks back, shows rather looking to bring the series to a close, and this is just one chapter of the Karate Kid franchise because we know that there's a film coming. So it might even be teeing up some sort of connection to that film that's yet to come. But Cobra Kai season 6 is introducing a major mystery. Talk about tongue twisters. A major mystery surrounding Mr. Miyagi. There's probably some more M words I could get in there. But
Definitely.
anyway. This final season sees Ralph Macchio's Daniel LaRusso and William Zabka's Johnny Lawrence preparing Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang to compete in an international karate tournament. But during the preparation, Daniel discovers a hidden compartment in Miyagi-Do's dojo. It's a box full of unknown secrets tucked away by his old sensei.
Yep.
Porn. It's just porn.
I thought we were going to make it
It's a
through an
Caligula
episode.
VHS.
Yeah. The mystery is the kind of porn. It's gonna set Daniel back. He's gonna have to wrestle with some things. During an interview with Screen Rant co-creator Hayden Schlossberg and star Ralph Macchio were asked about what to expect from this revelation. Though they were careful not to share too many details about the box, the duo did tease that it will have a major impact on Daniel. Schlossberg also explained that the introduction of this mystery was meant to be a, quote, trying to understand the past, end quote, of Pat Morita's iconic character. Schlossberg goes on to say, quote, the big conflict that Daniel has this season is realizing that his mentor, who he thought was the most perfect, who he thought was the most perfect, ideal person of all time, actually had flaws. And I think, for us, what did it say? And I think for us, we were okay with that because we always assumed Mr. Miyagi was a human being. And he wasn't necessarily born a sage, and he wasn't born as somebody who had all the answers. This season, you're going to get a little taste of that.
They're really hyping up this premise. And what makes you think that Mr. Miyagi would have told Daniel all of his secrets? Like, your piano teacher doesn't tell you he served in the SS. He's not like, oh, before we begin, I was a Nazi. Here's the C key. Here's the D key. No, he had a job to teach karate. He's not going to start each lesson with, and let me tell you another dark secret about myself. Why would he ever do that? Of course he has imperfections in his life.
I need you to open this box.
We have ways of making you play chords.
Well, yeah, and actually, in the first Karate Kid, there's that scene where Mr. Miyagi's drunk, and Daniel comes across a different box with photos, and
Yeah.
Yep.
he learns about the death of his wife and child.
Yeah.
My guess is, thinking about the struggles that Daniel's been having with Johnny and their different philosophies as far as fighting. Where Miyagi is what would you say, defensive, and Eagle Fang is offensive. I think he's going to find out like Mr. Miyagi killed somebody or something, or had to resort to violence.
Yeah,
that's going to give him permission to maybe accept some more.
He once punched someone in rage. I can never look at him the same again. Come on. It just seems like they're overhyping this big secret. Maybe it is a big secret, and I'm low key. Maybe I'm not approaching it with enough importance, but it seems like. If there's somebody who he's not your family, I mean, okay, they became very close.
They became very close, yeah.
Why would he like? Yeah, it seems like an obvious that that man would have secrets that he wouldn't share with a little kid.
Right. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Much older man. Yeah. Oh,
Let
Brandon
me
says,
tell you about my Prince Albert. No, maybe later.
wait, what's that?
I don't know. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. John stumped me. That's
Don't Google it. Just don't Google it.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandon says, I wonder if the box Daniel finds is somehow tied to Miyagi's drunken scene in the first film. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Well, or at least in the very least, we know he's had some other secrets, I guess.
I'm waiting for the comments to come rolling in of those who do know what a Prince Albert is.
So am I, so I can try and figure out what it is without Googling.
Butterspider says, I think it will be a bastard child needing to seek him out.
Oh. Ooh.
Huh. Well, if Miyagi had a child, that'd be an old kid, right? I mean, kid pretty old. So, well, I guess Miyagi could have been, he would have been, because he'd been like a grandfather age to Daniel, right?
Yeah, like I think a young grandfather. Yeah.
Because I think, Pat Morita was Pat Morita's age in First Karate Kid that Ralph Macchio is in this Cobra Kai, which is 60 years old. They both were 60 at this time. Daniel's like 16 or something like that. So he'd
Be 70 something, 75, 70. Yeah, quite old.
Yeah, so he would be
Old enough to run for office.
All right, there you go.
I think Mario and Michelle were trying to explain what the Prince Albert
Let's
is
switch over to the
Let it go.
comments here, John.
in the comments.
Just let it go.
Mario
I
says
will
that's
not Google.
painful. And Nocturnal, not Nocturnal. Miss So put a couple of emojis, John. And I don't know what these mean, but she's suggesting a vegetable or fruit of some kind. Looks like an eggplant.
Yep.
And a face of someone looking at it like, that's a
Yeah.
delicious looking eggplant.
Oh my.
Well,
Okay.
that's not what they're thinking.
Oh, I love a delicious eggplant. Parmesan, covered with cheese. Great. I don't know. Oh, I just turned you guys
This will be
off.
my little gift to you later when you finally break down and look it up.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up. I might not make it through the show.
I'm not looking it up because Brandon's telling me not to.
Okay.
So,
Good call. Good man, Brandon. Fine
Macchio, during this interview, Macchio adds, the deeper LaRusso digs, quote, the more down a downward spiral he goes.
Okay.
I think it's a great narrative story, and we figured out a way that it entertains, creates conflict, and sort of takes Daniel down this path that he has to come back from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did find a little bit more about Mr. Miyagi in the series than we knew about him in the films. If you recall, in season 3, Daniel does venture back to Okinawa,
Yeah.
which he, a place where he visited in Karate Kid 2, which is the hometown of Mr. Miyagi, where he encountered characters he had only first met in that earlier film, including Yuji Okamoto's Chosen, who I love. I love him in the series. He's
Oh,
fantastic.
yes.
He's like, let's burn this place down. Love it. And also Tamlin Tomida's Kumiko. Yeah, it was great to see both of them. And he learned from them that Miyagi had sent love letters to Kumiko's aunt Yuki all the way up until his death. So, I don't know, maybe it's related to all this. I don't know.
Not exactly a dark secret, though.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
love letters, scandalous.
I can't believe he wrote that.
Yeah, elsewhere in the interview, Macchio talks about, look, there's only, basically he says, there's only so many times we could have Daniel and Johnny going at it, you know?
Yes.
You got to have some other kind of thing. And so it's this, all right? So just everybody settle down. But, and he said it's going to last basically the whole season. This mystery and him dealing with it.
Wow.
That'll be the arc.
I don't care what it is. Bring it on.
I know. And actually, I agree. I think the Daniel and Johnny thing went on way too long. It should have been resolved like in season 2 or something.
Yeah.
Even I thought maybe it was a little too long.
It's probably wise of them to introduce a new catalyst to push the story along. So I think on that front, good move.
Yeah. Let's see what the mystery is. I'm curious. It'd be good.
Mr. Miyagi Mystery.
All right. Hey, look, we got more stuff to talk about, and some of it is quote unquote news. But we're going to say that was news because everything else is going to be about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Now, first, we're going to talk very high level here. You know, just give you some. Let's talk about the production itself and give you some news about the. All right, Kat. The Cat show.
Brandon made a comment.
effect.
I'm fine.
Oh, careful.
Brandon
tell
made
us what it is?
a comment. He says, if I can,
I'm not going to
love
read it. I want to hear
letters.
you tell me.
Yeah, please.
Miyagi's love letters would only be crazy if he mentions having a Prince Albert.
Oh my God. All right, now I got to just look it up, Brandon. All right, it's on you.
Okay, here we go.
Let's see. What is
Oh,
a
no.
Prince Albert?
I'm not. I'm just listening.
Oh,
Can
really?
The look.
Oh my
See
God.
the look on his face.
Oh no. No.
you explain?
Nope.
No.
No. I reject that. I don't even want to know that that's a thing.
Right. I once heard a comic say, I don't want to know what that's called because now if I get drunk, I might accidentally ask for one.
Oh man. I need to talk to somebody after the show.
I got a little,
Check with your husband. He probably
Okay.
knows all about it.
you probably would know if he had one, though.
I have to
You
tell
would be
you,
aware. Yeah.
I think he's flattered that you guys give him so much credit for
I
having
don't know.
so
The last-
much knowledge.
I was visiting with you guys, a few weeks ago. He and I were talking about some things on the side. He knew a lot of stuff. He did not have to be caught up on anything.
He wraps it in bubble wrap for you, Kat, so it's not too impactful. But when it's just him and the guys,
So Brandon,
gloves are off.
I'm going to give you this challenge. Since Mr. Miyagi's from Okinawa and he's of the culture of karate, what would he call a Prince Albert? I'm betting there's some kind of
Oh.
martial arts maybe phrase or something we can use instead. All right, hey, let's talk about Beverly Hills Cop.
like the equivalent to wax on, wax off, but for the Prince Albert, some little saying.
Yeah, like he doesn't have a Prince Albert. Like Prince Albert sounds English, right? It's of the culture of. Now, obviously, it's it's
It's
probably
an
universal.
emperor or something or other.
Yeah, or it's a maybe it's a weapon that's like a
Oh. Okay, now
like
you're
a
talking.
sword of some type or some kind. Maybe that's.
What? Oh no.
Brandon said he'd probably just call it a pain in the dick.
Oh.
So
We're
we're getting closer, Kat. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
All right, hey, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. So we're talking about the most recent sequel to in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. It's technically the fourth film, although the third film was so terrible that many folks don't even consider it canon. And I think this film itself actually rejects it. Get the hell out of here. We'll talk about that in a little moment or two. It turns out they wanted to make a fourth film since the 1990s, and we talked about this a little bit last week. So it took them this long. It's various fits and starts, different directors, different writers attached. Eddie Murphy scrapping the whole thing at one point in the 2000s to focus on and helping produce this TV show that he didn't want to be in after the first episode. I
ain't popping in shit.
Yeah. So finally we got it. And if you remember a few years ago, it was announced that they were doing it. They had, this is high level. They had some different directors. They actually had the directors lined up to do it. This is right before the pandemic. And these directors were like, it took some time for the Beverly Hills Cop thing to get going. These two co-directors got offered something else instead, so they jumped ship and went to this other film. That film, Batgirl. So,
Man.
Oh,
still kicking
goodness
themselves.
gracious.
Whoops.
Anyway,
Dang it.
the film as we have it that premiered on July 3rd on Netflix was directed by Mark Malloy, and I'm about to blow your minds because it's his feature film directorial debut.
Really?
Yes. Now I don't know how you come to choose someone like this.
Wow.
He's directed commercials and some short films for he did a film for Apple, a short film about something about working from home during the pandemic. I don't know how Jerry Bruckheimer, and how Eddie Murphy saw something in this guy, but I think the film, from a directorial standpoint and many others, fantastic.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's evident that he watched the 84 film a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he's more of a fan of the earlier films than Eddie Murphy is.
Good point.
Have a evidence of that a little bit when we talk about Easter eggs. It was written by Will Beall, who also came up with the story. Will Beall also wrote a film that came out this year, Bad Boys Ride or Die. That's another Bruckheimer production as well.
Good film.
Tom Gormican directed and co-wrote it with Will Beall. Rather, he also Tom Gormican also co-wrote Beverly Hills Cop. You may not know him, except he also directed The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which he also co-wrote with Kevin. This is so many names you don't give a shit about. Kevin Eaton, who also co-wrote this film. All right, 3 guys wrote this movie. Will Beal, I'll just give it to you. Will Beal, I got to cut all this out. Will Beal, Tom Gormican, and Kevin Eaton. They all co-wrote. Right, there you go. Anyway.
Okay.
Eddie Murphy returns, of course, and we've got some other folks reprising their earlier roles, including Paul Reiser, Judge Reinhold, and John Ashton, who I thought honestly had passed away a few years ago, and I eulogized him in my home. I'm not even kidding.
Really?
I was like, oh, I'm so sad that he's gone. I love him in the Beverly Hills Cop movies. I loved him in Midnight Run. Fantastic actor. Oh, so sad.
But
Surprise.
Yeah, he's back. He's back.
You look pretty good for a dead guy.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Mario says a Genghis Albert. Okay.
Genghis.
That's good as a first shot, I think. Joseph, and rounding out the cast are a bunch of new folks and some familiar faces, including Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Kevin Bacon, and Taylor Page. The budget was about $150 million, which is, is probably a healthy, not too gigantic of a budget for, I think, what it amounted to be. It's a sizable budget, though, you would think, for a film that has never seen the inside of a movie theater.
Right.
But, this is the era in which we live.
Yes.
So I've got some just headlines of reviews or blurbs.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if I should ask you what your impressions are first. What do you think? Doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter.
Is that to embarrass us to see if we agree or disagree with the
No. This is
our viewers?
I'm
Jeremy
happy
thinks
to
I'm trying to
say-
set you guys up.
John's always feeling set up. Yeah. I'm happy to say that I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I chuckled my way through it. And one thing that did happen, I got to tell you. Okay, so I watched it last night.
Tell us.
I was really tired, really tired. Was up really early yesterday, and there were a couple of points where I might have snoozed a little bit, but then when
It's a rousing endorsement.
when I came to, right, and it didn't have to do with the movie; it had to do with me and my state. But when I came to, I did not have to ask any
You
questions.
weren't lost.
I
It's
was
such a
not-
straightforward movie. Yeah.
And I loved that about it.
Yeah.
I was not lost. I didn't have to say, "Oh, can we rewind?" or whatever. I just, yes, just as I expect.
It is big time. This is not a surprise for any production. It is a story in 3 acts. The first act, I found the best of the 3. It was super nostalgic. It was just what I was looking for out of a Beverly Hills Cop movie. The second act, I had and still have character motivation issues with, which I can talk about later.
Oh, okay.
And then the third act was the second best of the 3 because you get to see everybody kick ass and do what they do and
Yes.
and relive the adventure that they have had before and show how good friends they are. But I enjoyed it as a successor, as a Lega sequel to the Beverly Hills Cop franchise.
Yep.
I liked it great. I'm sure I saw 2. I might not have seen 3, which is probably okay. But I did just recently watch the first one, and it felt, in the first and third acts, it felt like the first one to me in a lot of ways, which was good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, if you remember, I did read, I think I maybe still have it here a little bit, that review that suggested that if you like the first one, you're going to love this one.
Yeah.
Well,
We were talking
that's a
about that.
rousing endorsement. That's not negative.
No, not at all.
I agree
Not
with
at
you
all.
guys. I think it was, had this film come out, let's say in the 90s and been the third film, we might have been saying, I saw this two other times. It's formulaic, it's played out.
okay.
But with the benefit of the 30 plus years since we've seen a Beverly Hills Cop film, and certainly more than that since we've seen a good one, it felt both familiar and new to me, or I should say maybe exciting to me. We could talk about some of the homages, etc., in a moment, but the way it played to nostalgia, which a lot of films get criticized for just sort of using that as a way to, I don't know. I was going to say to maybe to get folks, to fill seats, but something else too. I guess in part to do that, but maybe in place of story or plot or good writing. You remember Rubik's Cubes, right? Those were crazy.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
film, it didn't feel like pandering to me, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe,
It's
yeah.
fair. I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just felt organic because of the formula that they created, 40 years ago with the original film. Here's a couple of just quick reviews from some publications that you'd recognize, and these aren't entire reviews. They're either the headline or just the first sentence from it. The Guardian says, reprising his role as lovable undercover cop Axel Foley, the actor, and some full-on car chase carnage can't disguise a plot several decades past its sell-by date.
Unless you like those movies. That sounds like kind of a that's a really weak argument.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, if it came out 40 years ago or 30 years ago, I might have said, look, this is overdone already. RogerEbert.com, Axel F is a shockingly entertaining diversion, the best in the series since the film that helped make Murphy one of the biggest stars of his generation.
All right,
So the best since the first one, I think it's, the second one's pretty dang good too, but I can see that an argument being made that maybe it's better. Vulture says the new Beverly Hills Cop is a predictable retread, and I don't care.
Yep.
I
buy that.
New York Times, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. It's busted. It's referring to that song. Was it
The line from the song?
Yes.
Shake down, take down. You busted.
Eddie Murphy struggles to revive the moribund action comedy franchise.
Oh,
Disagree?
I disagree with that completely. Yeah.
The Rolling Stone says this is a movie that doesn't just heart the 80s, it actually wishes it still were the 80s, casting a fond glance to a simpler, more star-driven blockbuster era. 2 hours later, however, and the thrill of getting this particular 2 hours later, however, and the thrill of getting this particular banana in your tailpipe feels like the most distant of memories. That's maybe there's some pictures of Mr. Miyagi with a banana in his tailpipe.
Yes, there's a mystery.
He loved cars, he had those cars.
And one was yellow, so
That's
Yeah,
it. Oh,
there you go.
yes. Yeah.
do the math.
Finally, Variety says Axel F might tickle your nostalgia bone, but of course the difference between then and now is that in the 40 years since Beverly Hills Cop, there have been 400 action comedies spun out of these same tropes. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is just one more of them.
Disagree.
Well,
Tropes are
Because
tropes.
it has Eddie Murphy in it.
Yes.
Period.
yeah.
Everything has got a trope. Any genre of something's got tropes.
Yes.
The execution, it's the everything else.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a reason Eddie Murphy is Eddie Murphy. And there's a
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
that he launched to stardom with the first one. It's because
Yeah.
that wasn't the first action cop comedy.
No.
But when he did it, it exploded because he did it best. And so why would you not want to see him do that again in the way that you loved?
Yeah.
It's not identical. It's not a remake, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of the same beats, not counting the second act. And I disagree with that review wholeheartily.
Yeah,
It's
and
a killjoy.
they're responsible for some of those tropes. So don't they get to use them again 40 years later?
This is my house.
And finally, with regard to the production, again, we're going to get into Easter eggs in just a moment right after this. Just want to talk about the success of the streaming. Miss So says, I don't care. That's actually Gen X in a nutshell.
Yes.
There you go. Whatever.
Butter Spider says, that's okay, Cat. I snoozed during T3 Judgment Day this week.
Wait,
All right.
what?
Karen says, I enjoyed it. Yeah, we did too. I saw a talk show where Murphy talked about how he never thought the tailpipe thing was that funny.
Oh,
The tailpipe thing wasn't. He was.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
the thing.
Right.
Someone else
Yes.
pulling that off. You notice they weren't putting bananas in tailpipes in every other movie. It was because it was how he delivered around it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the Murphiness of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The act of you stopping the car from running, but the banana. That wasn't the joke. Yeah, I agree.
You're right.
Mario says, excellent directorial debut. I know, it's crazy, right? So, look, we've talked about this before with streamers, unlike the traditional box office of movie theaters. The success, as far as how they might measure their success financially, is a close kept secret. But they're often happy to share with us download or views or that sort of thing. So we do know that. So it turns out that Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is the most is Netflix's most watched movie premiere of 2024. It debuted at number 1 on the Netflix top 10 with 41 million views. Netflix announced on July 9th. Since premiering on July 3rd, the long-awaited sequel has dominated the streamer's other offerings with 80.7 million hours viewed.
Wow.
To give you some context, this topped other Netflix original movies, including Zack Snyder's Star Wars, but not Star Wars Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, which only had 21.4 million. So almost 50% or half as much.
Yeah.
Axel F also ranked as among Netflix's top 10 films in 93 countries, including where it was number 1 in other places like Canada, the UK, Germany, Brazil,
Yep.
South Korea, and Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
And when I looked at the list of other 24 films that did not perform as well for Netflix, I think it's the barrier of entry. Rebel Moon, you have to, what's it about? Tell me a story. It's Star Wars, but not Star Wars. You just had to do that. And these other films, like, what is this? Oh, well, it's a prestige drama where blah, blah, blah. But you just go, Axel F is back.
Oh,
Done. There is the elevator pitch and people are in. So I think that doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, the brand is it's built in. Okay, so hey, let's talk about Easter eggs, homages, callbacks, and all those sorts of fun things.
yes. Let's.
I've got some different categories, but you guys want to try. This is not in chronological order, but just to give you guys a heads up, I guess the way I see it, sort of breaking down. I got returning characters, returning props, music, locations, references to prior movies, vehicles. Cameos. I guess that's it. I also had this other one labeled something else, but it's kind of part of this references to other movies. All right, so that's and again, in no particular order here. Brandon says before we do that, Brandon says the funniest thing about the tailpipe was how Eddie got the bananas. Yes, remember who gave him the bananas?
Damon Wayans gave it to him. Yeah. Gave them to him. Yeah.
Now, when I want to talk about this when we talk about Bronson Pinchot in a moment. But I remember seeing this film in 1984 in the movie theater, and Damon Wayans was not a household name.
He was nobody.
Right.
He wasn't a well-known comedian. Eddie Murphy had a relationship with the Wayans brothers already. His older brother was already making films, I believe by then, certainly, or sort of had a head start. Yeah.
Can you imagine the discussion? Damon, I have a part for you in my movie. Oh, yeah? Yeah. You hand me bananas.
Yeah.
And then what? No, that's it. You're never back again.
Yeah, no.
That's it.
Maybe it's going to be a sequel? A spinoff of Banana Man? But what I was going to say is not knowing who Damon Wayans was. I thought that was just a guy that was really selling bananas and they rolled film.
Why not?
Right? They're just, he says, so organic and in it. And I'd say the same thing about Serge. We'll talk about him in a moment.
Yes.
Serge.
We could talk about him pretty quickly, too, because... so look, as I mentioned, we have some characters return. Paul Reiser's back as Jeffrey Friedman. You remember him as Axel's friend that was on the force. With him, they attended, we now get in this movie sort of clarification. Maybe they attended academy together. They came up through the ranks together. But now he is now the deputy chief who used to be played by, or was originated by Gil Hill, who is Inspector Todd. He's a guy who I believe created the trope of the screaming, get in my office.
Well, and he was not a trained actor at all. He was like what you thought Damon Wayans was.
Yeah.
He worked for LAPD and he was a consultant and they liked him and said, hey, you want to be the captain?
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love
It's a little
that.
like, was it Arlie Ermy getting the drill sergeant role?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
What's that movie called? Not Platoon. It's the other one.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Because he really was a drill sergeant. He just,
Yep.
yeah. And Gil Hill, as that role, again, I think he created that shouty, right? I don't think we had it till then. And we've seen all movies and TV shows since.
Yeah.
Billy Rosewood's back, played by Judge Reinhold.
Of course.
And his elder statesman of a partner, John Taggart, is back, played by John Ashton. This time, however, he is now, much like Paul Reiser's character, he is now heading up the Beverly Hills police force.
Yes.
Originally, he was going to be in a Beverly Hills Cop 3, but he had a scheduling conflict with another film he was in, so he was not able to, forcing them to retool and rewrite and bring another sort of stand-in type character.
He dodged a bullet.
But in Beverly Hills, because he's not in it, but Judge Reinhold is playing Billy.
Oh, okay.
They explain Taggart's character as having retired.
Oh.
And he was like in Arizona. I think they said he says he moved to Arizona, he retired.
Okay.
So in this film, they do have a line where he says how he couldn't, he couldn't stay retired. Now, interestingly enough, right, when you think about Eddie Murphy, think about again, there's going to be spoilers among these comments here. But when we talk about Billy Rosewood, he's moved out of the police department, so maybe he's an exception. But certainly Eddie Murphy, Paul Reiser, and John Ashton's characters, they're too old to be doing these jobs, right? I mean, they would have retired years ago.
I would think so, yes.
The police officers I know, in their 50s, they retire, because they have that good pension. They can do that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But John Ashton's not coming out of retirement to become a police chief. I mean...
Well, he said that he needed to get out of his house. He got back together with his wife.
I know why they explained it. I'm just saying, among the willful suspensions of disbelief, that...
I mean,
right
pickleball exists.
Yeah.
There are other ways to get out of the house that don't put your life in danger.
Many other.
And among the returning characters we have also, as I mentioned, is Serge, as played by Bronson.
Serge,
as played by Bronson Pinchot. And again,
as he would say,
just like in the first film, I thought this was just a guy who worked at an art gallery, an art museum.
Really?
Yeah.
Just improvising. They said, just say how you would normally react in this situation. And we can film it. So
I don't think, like Wayans, I don't know that we had seen Bronson Pinchot in much of anything before that. Had we?
No. And in fact...
Yeah, when was he in the what was the TV
later
show?
in the 80s, yeah.
It was later, okay.
Mm-hmm. Perfect Strangers. That was later.
Perfect Strangers, thank you.
Jose Laddie. Yeah, no, he was in
Yes.
it was like Balky. He played Balky.
Yes.
In as reported by comicbook.com, well, okay, I'll say it this way. In fact, there's an interview with Bronson Pinchot with comicbook.com where he tells them that when he was in the first film, quote, he's referring to Eddie Murphy saying that their chemistry existed, when they first began working together in the original movie, but he felt intimidated by the star on the set, saying, quote, he was a giant star and I was a day player, and he had his bodyguard. I felt, and I was probably wrong, but I felt it meant I shouldn't address him, end quote.
Wow.
But when they did the scenes, they improvised, so, and some of the stories are that, some of the things that Bronson Pinchot said, just Eddie Murphy would just start cracking up.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's just so in it. Now,
didn't someone ask him, Bronson, what is that accent? And he's like, it's a mix of just things. It's no particular anybody. It's just Hollywood art scene accent. And I bought it.
Yeah. And I did see him talk about how he based it, a lot of it's based on a makeup artist that once he worked with. Who was very short with him and sort of, sort of dismissive. Now, when we see him, now much like I mentioned with, I'm going to go with John Taggart, Bronson Pinchot's character is also, unlike Taggart, he's in Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Right.
He's got a tiny role, and this movie's terrible, man. Don't ever see this movie.
I have not, because you told me not to. I've never watched it.
Well, in Beverly Hills Cop 3, Serge has left the art world and has opened the survival boutique, which is a salon for people seeking luxury self-defense items.
Okay. Wow.
And as a Deus Ex Machina moment, we learn this because he happens to be a vendor at a convention that Axel is attending around the time where Axel needs some firepower.
Oh, okay.
And he's selling weapons, including the Annihilator 2000, which is a machine gun that comes with a CD player built in.
And as Rosewood will tell you, you can never have too much firepower.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
So, anyway, there's something that happens, right? So Bronson Pinchot in the first film, so convincing. And there's something about him and Damon Wayans that they don't seem like actors. But it seems like after you get, maybe it's celebrity even, but you become a celebrity, there's like a light that goes off in your eyes. I don't know how else to describe it. But
We say goes off. Do you mean it illuminates or
yes,
it goes out?
goes on, right? Goes
Illuminates.
on, right? Goes on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That when you see Bronson Pinchot, and it was great to see him again in this movie, he can't seem to me that he's a man off the street anymore because he's got that kind of on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When non-actors have this sort of dimness, sort of, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like this. It's hard to quantify or qualify what it is, but I don't know. There's something there.
I think so. I think There's
So
an
you
author.
didn't buy his Serge in Axel F?
I bought it, but I he seems charactery to me.
Yeah.
Whereas I would have
Okay.
believed he was, that
Didn't feel as
guy
authentic.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
With regard to seeing them first, they're sort of coming together in this film. Serge arrives in a car and gets out, and he immediately hugs Axel. It's a moment that was improvised, just like Kat, he felt the impulse to hug someone, and he's just going to do it.
Yes.
Understandable. Yeah.
Did you notice his license plate when he pulled up?
I did at the time.
Yes.
yeah,
Power
what was it?
Surge.
Yes.
Oh,
Power Surge, right?
It was PWR SRG, I think.
SRG.
Yeah.
Yep.
Power Surge.
Surge.
He said the enthusiasm that he felt, sort of the impulse to hug Murphy was based on just being genuine because he felt in that moment, I haven't seen this guy in so long and I really just want to hold him. And he did.
Aw.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sweet
there
Serge.
you go. Now, if you're wondering what happened to Ronnie Cox, who plays Bogomil, who was the chief, who would, again, he shouldn't be there anyway. Certainly not.
He should be
chief.
retired.
Oh, yes.
Retired. But he wasn't in it, which is, he was in 1, he was in 2. He was supposed to be in 3, but he wasn't. And why depends on who you ask. Once I had read that there was a scheduling conflict. But in an interview in 2012 with the AV Club, Cox told them that, quote, they wanted me to be in Beverly Hills Cop 3, but I read the script.
Oh.
Which may explain why he hasn't been asked back. Although Eddie Murphy and even John Landis, who directed it, don't really like that movie. Nobody likes that movie. All right. So how about some of the props and those sort of things? I only got 2 things there.
Okay.
One, again, as far as things that should be retired, he's still driving a 1970 Chevy Nova. How many miles does it have on that car?
He must really like it.
Yeah. He takes care
And
of
did you
it.
see the pickup that he rented in Beverly Hills had a very similar
Yes.
vintage and color scheme?
Yes.
That's a little too convenient. And this is like a one-off. They were out of cars, but they had this old truck. Like, really?
A Detroit special, he says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rent a wreck. Now, some Eagle Eye viewers spotted that his daughter, who's played by Taylor Page, that we mentioned, his daughter Jane, who he meets in Beverly Hills, he goes there. The plot brings him there. Do we have told what the plot was? I don't know. See it. Just see the movie.
Yes.
But he goes there. He's always going there to help somebody, right? Or
See, that's us being spoiler free. We can say all this and still not say what the movie's
doesn't
about.
ruin this. This doesn't
That's
ruin
right.
this story. That's right. I just realized I got some comments I never read. We could probably follow up on this in just a moment.
Yeah.
So he goes out there to deal with. So some Eagle Eye fans have spotted that his daughter, when she shows her ID during a scene, her middle name is Nova.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Is it because he loves the car so much?
I think so.
Why not?
I think so.
And one of the only other prop that I wanted to point out that's back is, of course, the iconic Detroit Lions jacket that he wore in the first film.
Oh, I did not notice that. Nice.
Yeah, but it turns out that Murphy wasn't too keen about putting it back on.
Oh.
Now, this is like what I'm talking about. See, Murphy said, quote, I was like, why would he have on the same clothes from 30 years ago? I have the same sneakers. And they were like, can you get your hair the same way? Yeah, you grow a little afro like you had back then. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? I'm not doing anything. It wasn't until filmmakers likened the jacket to Indiana Jones's fedora that Murphy understood the importance.
Okay.
Understood
Yeah.
its importance.
It's iconicness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're on the topic of Jane, going to interject here and talk about what I didn't like about the second act.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a well-worn trope. I've fallen out with my child. We need to have a reconciliation. We have to get together. However, what I know about Axel Foley and his fierce loyalty to friends and colleagues and coworkers, I find it difficult to believe that he would not fight infinitely to stay in contact and on the good graces of his own child. If we're to believe that he allowed that relationship to break down, for me, that fundamentally changes who I think Axel Foley is.
Okay.
He's not the nice guy I think he is. He doesn't like his family. He only likes randos that he meets and has a shootout with.
Right.
I think that's ridiculous. And I understand it's a driver. It's a way to explain, well, why haven't you been in touch? Well, we had a falling out. Well, they never explain. But I don't think the Axel Foley I knew would ever allow that to happen in a relationship with his own blood. And that was the part I disliked about the second act. By the time they were cordial and getting along, and the fact that it existed still bothered me, but now they were getting along and I got to see the relationship with the daughter. Why don't we just do that from the beginning?
I think
That bothered me a lot.
Yeah, I hear you. I think we were supposed to buy into there was some explanation having to do with her mom.
Yeah.
And perhaps him having access to his daughter. I don't remember what age
But
she
Axel
was.
notoriously breaks the rules to get what he wants. He would violate whatever wishes his wife had if the cost was losing contact with his daughter. Again, the Axel Foley that I thought I knew prior
Right.
to this movie would have done whatever it took. He would never have gotten to this point, I think. Yeah.
And I think, that's just it. Like your idea of him, and they're trying to put forth, well, okay, they're trying, they're trying to
Good
have us
cop,
buy
bad
into this.
dad. I don't buy it. I just don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the daughter herself, I think one thing we were supposed to also understand about her is how perhaps stubborn or rigid or focused she is. Like that's a characteristic about her that perhaps she shut him out enough. Maybe he was trying to be in touch with her
Yeah.
all this
I just
time.
don't buy that he would ever give up, Kat. That's my
no,
thing.
I hear you.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah,
The daughter
I
was
hear you.
stubborn, whatever.
Yeah.
She was very like Foley. I don't know the mom,
Yes.
how much she was like the mom, but she had the same wit. She used the same, subterfuge to get what they needed, access to stuff. Like, did you get that from your dad? That's very creative. It surprises me. I'm not going to run it over it again. That's the part that bugged me so much.
I hear you. Yeah.
And she's been an adult for a while, so if it was an access problem, he has had access for a while.
Yep.
Well, and then that's what made me think about, well, okay, so she has a grudge, or she's yeah.
Yeah, they probably could have thought of another source of tension.
Sure.
That was more believable.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kat, one more thing. You saw how tenaciously he doggedly got her to accept him in this movie. That he didn't do that 20 years ago?
Right.
Yeah.
I guess there's a part of me that's just sort of figures, well, there's some reason. Maybe we don't know exactly what it is, but I hear
guess.
you. I do hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see, before I get too far away from some of these comments, Mario says, the Nova, that was my sister's first car. Yeah. Brandon says, Bronson Pinchot is amazing. Sarah is a great character. How is it that he says Axel's name? Axel. Something like that.
In a very round way. Ow.
Karen suggests that maybe Jane's mother was very manipulative.
Maybe.
Know.
Yeah.
Still.
Let's talk about the music, because this was one of the look. I am a stickler.
Oh, yes.
I'm a snob when it comes to music. It's everywhere in the world, but in particular, especially in movies. And movies like this. And I gotta say, just overall review here.
Yeah.
I think they nailed it.
Yes.
I couldn't.
Yes.
No notes.
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
things
Solid.
that I thought would have bothered me did not. So, in particular, good, Cap.
I thought there would be something that I was even thinking while watching the movie, what's bothering Will about the music? There's got to be
No.
something. But wow.
Yeah, there's something really
And Will, that
special
opening montage where he's driving through town
Yeah.
was first music choice was awesome, but it was like shot for shot, not the exact same people doing the same things, but the same kind of like slice of life, random people, except this time he was hollering at them. But in 84, we saw the same little shots of people on the street that were actually just random people, as it turns out. I thought that was, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is like, the director saw the first one and understands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting sort of evolution of his character. Just now we see him interacting with those, where clearly earlier in 1984 it was some, second unit director shooting like B-roll.
Okay.
Right.
But now, Axel's interacting with these characters. And we're talking about this because the song they played is the first, in the movie, the first song during this montage is the same they played in 84, which was The Heat Is On by Glenn Frey. And speaking of that, I mean, we get back-to-back hits, which is interesting because in the first, I want to say half hour, 20 some odd minutes maybe of the film, we get 3 of the most iconic songs from the film. The second being Shakedown by Bob Seger, which happens shortly after The Heat Is On. Like, I hear The Heat Is On, I'm like, this is what they opened the first movie with. Okay, is this bothering me? No. I think this is going to be okay. And then
calming.
I think maybe we're done. But they played, like, just a few minutes later, Shakedown.
Yes.
And similarly, Beverly Hills Cop 2 opens with a heist that goes awry. I'm sorry, it opens with a heist. And then the next thing we see is the montage of him getting ready for his day. And they play Shakedown. Now, this time it's played underneath the snowplow chase that John alluded to earlier. Now, I will say, we'll talk about the theme song in a moment, but this Shakedown also was written by the same guy who wrote the theme song, the iconic theme song, and composed the music for the first couple of films, Harold Faltermeyer. This one he wrote with legendary producer, songwriter, lyricist Keith Forsey, and the lyrics were done by Bob Seger.
And knowing, Will, that you have no notes on the music,
Yeah.
I'll still ask you this question. What did you think about the riffs, remixes, interpretations of the Axel F theme?
Yes. Yes.
Because it wasn't just straight doot, 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 doot. It was more sometimes woven into other music or like obfuscated a bit and then it emerged from the tune. You know what I mean?
John, that is why I think this music went from here to clear the roof. Yes, that was the most clever thing about it.
Yeah.
It was as if it was crafted by a music producer or a DJ. Because I watched the first, 15 minutes of the film, and then I stopped. And I was watching it because some of the reviews I read were mixed, and I thought I want to watch it to talk to you guys. And my wife loved Beverly Hills Cop, but we may not have time to watch it. 15 minutes in, I realized they were doing that with the music.
Yeah.
And I was like, stop. This movie, everything of this movie is going to be genius. I could tell they know what they're doing. Because you're right, John. They would be playing the theme or a variation of it.
Yeah.
And they would, the next, iconic song on it is Neutron Dance that I was going to bring up. This is the last sort of throwback music-wise.
Yes.
But they start giving you hints of Neutron Dance while they're doing the Axel theme while he's in Billy's office.
Yes.
And then they just go back to the Axel theme and you forget about that.
Intermingled.
Like, was that the
I thought
drums
that was
from
great.
Neutron Dance? I don't know. And then Neutron Dance comes mixing in. Holy shit.
I loved that. Yes. Loved it.
Couldn't have done it better myself. And of course, that in this movie, in the original film, we've got that deal that goes bad with the cigarettes, and he winds up getting in that chase with the semi, and he's in the back of it. Neutron Dance.
This double trailer semi at that, so they could do the serpentine race down the roads. Yeah.
And of course, we get it under a different type of chase here, where he's confiscated a police enforcement officer's vehicle. What could you call it? A box with 3 wheels? It's
a meter-made mobile.
Meter-made mobile. That works. That works.
Regarding the iconic Harold Faltermeyer theme, Murphy said in a behind-the-scenes video released by Netflix that they'll play that shit at my funeral one day. It's like having your own James Bond theme. Now, the music for this film was composed by Lorne. I don't know how to say your last name, Lorne. Balfe, probably.
Okay.
Bife. It could be Bife. I think he's Scottish. He said, quote, that they were looking to be faithful to the past but reinvent it. Part of that was them. I get disappointed from this point on. Part of that was that they said they went to a museum and found some of the old synths that would have been used back in the 1980s and cleaned them up for use in recreating some of these themes.
Oh, okay.
Now, in this, good.
I learned something about the Axel F theme that I did not know in researching for a Gen X Grown Up episode we're doing shortly about about Beverly Hills Cop. Okay. The Axel F theme was initially written as the banana in the tailpipe theme. It was just a jaunty little thing for him to do this little sneak around and put the banana in the tailpipe. And then when they heard it, they're like, this is too perfect. We're going to use it all over the place. But the initial intent was just for that little scene where he was sabotaging the car with fruit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, John, could you sing a little of it? Banana in the tailpipe. He's got a banana in the tailpipe.
I didn't even know it had lyrics. Now I've learned something else. Fruit is non-conducive to external combustion.
There you go. And this probably isn't very funny, but I'll make it funny when I improvise some lines later.
And re-record when John and Kat aren't here to do it. Also,
I was doing Eddie Murphy, but yeah, that both of those. Okay. Now, in this few minutes, behind the scenes thing with it, which is specifically talking about doing the music for the film and how iconic the theme is and how they interpolate it in the score for the new film. No one ever says these two words. Harold Faltermeyer. Not a one. Not Eddie Murphy, not the new composer, not the director.
Gotcha.
Are you kidding me? And Harold didn't work on this film.
Big fail.
And that's and that's aside from the fact that this new composer, Lorne Balfe, who's done a lot of things, by the way, Mission Impossible, a lot of the Mission Impossible films, the new ones.
Was he not in the credits? I didn't look the credits.
He probably was in the credits, but he didn't.
Maybe.
To my knowledge, he didn't work on it. But this guy, Lorne, he was the music producer on Top Gun Maverick, where Harold Faltermeyer, in part composed that score too.
Yeah. Huh.
Whatever. I don't know. It's frustrated me.
Got to give credit.
John, this is not just because I had an interview with Harold Faltermeyer a couple of years ago. That had nothing to do with it.
I understand. I knew it was unrelated.
Yeah. All right,
Purely
we've been talking for an hour and
non-self-promotional.
15 minutes almost here, and I got a lot of pages, so maybe we'll just
Let's hear it.
see what we could skip to. All right, let's just talk about some. Oh shit, man! All right, let's skip that. We'll skip that part. All right, let's just talk about some moments that are throwbacks.
Okay.
Oh, including this one, right? So I alluded to this one earlier. When Axel winds up again in the Beverly Hills Cop police station, the new arresting officer played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, takes out his file and all the references he makes in his file to his previous
Bobby.
Bobby, is that his name? Bobby.
Yep.
It's Bobby. Yeah.
Makes to his previous visits to Beverly Hills coincide with the films. You referred you were here in '84, you were here in '87, and then with regard to his visit in 1994, Bobby says, "quote Not your finest hour."
I love that. I didn't even
I caught
see
that
it.
right away.
Yes,
And there were photos from the film in the case file, so it was easy to draw the conclusion of what he was talking about.
Doesn't that drive you crazy when it's like, wait, how do they have photos of the? They have screen
Who took
grabs.
that picture?
Yeah. I hate when they do that. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's always kind of that one didn't bug me there. But in other films, when they use it as like a plot point, where they're like, "Look, we're looking for this guy," and it's like a screen grab from a scene I saw earlier in the movie.
One of the photos was a picture of him getting arrested. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Did the patrol officers have a guy on the street in '94 that was like, "I need you to document every arrest"?
Yes,
right.
In black and white photography.
Olsen type. Hold it, guys. Hold it for a second. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
There were no dash cams back then, right?
Before I move on too far from the music here, Karen says they played all the hits musically. Mario says the music definitely had me drawn in. Braden says the only gripe I have about the music is the Axel F instrumental. It showed up briefly throughout the film, but played fully too soon.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good point. It should have shown up at the climax of the film.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mr. says the musical version of Beverly Hills Cop.
what we were
Oh,
just doing.
oh, yeah,
Well,
the
what
banana
you two were
tailpipe.
just
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
You know what? Would you be surprised if they did that?
Yeah.
Musical version.
no.
Let's see. Another reference is and it's staying with that report. I thought this was neat. I didn't catch this. I saw someone else on the internet refer to this. That if you remember at the end of the first Beverly Hills Cop, Bogomil, Ronnie Cox's character, is asked by his superior that shows up, Chief Hubbard, what the hell happened here? You shot at this rich guy's mansion. And Bogomil, who has been gunning for Axel this whole time, and also has it somewhat in for his own police detectives, Taggart and Rosewood, spins a line of bullshit that makes them out to be heroes. Quote for that exact quote, that story that he tells, Hubbard, the chief, is in that report that we see
Is that right?
Yeah,
oh,
like
that's
line
I
for
didn't see
line.
that either.
Yeah, I didn't.
Right.
Oh my
Because
God.
that in itself was a callback to when Axel was spinning a yarn to try to make
Right.
Taggart and Rosewood
Super
look
cops.
good after the strip club.
Yeah.
And it was like, is that what happened? No. And like, dude, we had him.
Yeah.
And then turned out that the chief did that himself, which I thought
Super cop.
was a payoff for that. Yeah. I'll have to
Taggart,
go back and look.
when Axel first meets John Taggart in the film, they don't get along. In fact, their confrontation escalates pretty quickly with Taggart punching Axel in the stomach.
Yep.
Get a little homage to that when Axel first sees Taggart again for the
Yes.
first time in Axel F, which he fakes it this time. He doesn't really punch him. Hey, Rosewood is still a fan of Rambo. This is something that we learned in Beverly Hills Cop 2 when we saw Billy's apartment, which was lined with some different, lots of different curious things. But among the curiosities was a poster for Rambo First Blood Part 2 and a poster of Cobra. Now, in this film, we see the Rambo First Blood Part 2 poster. He's still got it, even though it's in his office now. He also has what looks like nesting dolls of Rambo, but they're unnested.
Oh, I missed that.
And
Oh,
he
my
has Rambo's, Bowie knife
Yeah.
as well.
And isn't that all just a nod to the audience? Because Stallone was initially going to be
Yes.
Axel Foley.
Oh, I forgot
I think
that.
so, yeah. Beginning,
man.
right. I think beginning in Beverly Hills Cop 2, one of the
Oh,
little Easter eggs was the fact that Sylvester Stallone was involved in the first incarnation of Beverly Hills Cop.
got it.
Plus, in Beverly Hills Cop 2, Brigitte Nielsen, who was then married to Stallone, plays one of the villains in the film.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. There's a whole lot of things. Is that enough? I got a lot of things. Anything you guys want to talk about? Vehicles?
I had one that I
cameos?
didn't get, and now I think I get it,
Okay.
but I don't know how it's in this movie.
Oh,
And it's on the golf course.
Yes.
okay. Uh-huh.
So they're on the golf course,
Yeah.
and the chopper just crashed, and so
Yes.
they need a vehicle. And so next hijack is going to be this golf cart, of course. And so they tell him there's a pregnant woman in the chopper. Go save her or something. And the guy sends his caddy, but the guy is not he's not an actor or character from the. Isn't he from Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
It seems like
Yes.
Shooter or
Okay.
something or other for Happy
Shooter-
Gilmore.
Yes. Yeah, John, you're referring to Christopher McDonald, who
Yes.
played the villainous Shooter McGavin in Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore from 1996. That's right.
So
How did that make it to this movie?
yeah. Because I could tell also, I couldn't place, I'm like, who is this? Why are they spotlighting him so much? We were confused about
What's so special
his,
about this?
And
yeah.
you recognize him, like I know that guy. He's not.
Right.
He is not the Damon Wayans, right? He is not just a guy off
Right.
the street.
Yes.
Like
No.
I know that actor. He has the light on in his eyes. I've seen him in stuff. But
Yeah.
is he from like? And I started thinking, well, was he in Beverly Hills Cop 3? Because I didn't see it, or
right.
So director Mark Malloy told the Hollywood Reporter, quote, I was talking with Mary Vernew, our casting director, about the golfer role that we had, and I said, I'd love a great cameo. So we started talking about it, and then we were like, Christopher McDonald. Oh, yes, that would be amazing. End quote. At the time, he had no idea that there is a Happy Gilmore sequel in the works at Netflix. So look at that moment of synergy.
Wow.
the Netflixiverse.
Yeah, I guess I'll just since you're talking about cameos, Eddie Murphy's daughter, Bria Murphy, plays one of the arresting officers. The two officers that arrest him after he's steals
Really?
the police enforcement vehicle.
Oh.
And her husband, they just got married recently, so Eddie Murphy's son-in-law plays an officer who teases Axel.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I think his daughters had small parts in Coming to America also.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, she's been in some of his other films. That's right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right, look, I got a bunch of others, but maybe we'll do this some other how, or we'll post it on Facebook or something. But anything else you guys wanted to mention? No, Kat, you said you had something.
I do. I have something. It's not related to Axel
Oh, I
F.
thought you said you had an Easter egg, but you weren't sure we would mention it.
Oh, that's right. No, it was the license plate.
Okay,
No,
power
not the
surge,
license plate. No, it was the files and I couldn't remember the exact thing, but he said, "Not your finest
That's your
visit"
finest
or
hour.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that. I noticed that. I was amazed that I noticed it because I haven't even seen that
course you
movie,
would.
but I got it. Like I understood. Oh,
But
that's a
you knew it was
reference.
30 years ago, 94. Like, oh yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mentioned, there's a bunch of others. Hey, if you haven't seen it, check it out. I don't think we ruined a bit of it. Maybe a few little surprises, but it's a film. As soon as it was done, my wife and I turned to each other and said, "We can watch this again." You know, and there are some films that we have that when we're just looking for it to feel good and have a good sort of time, put on.
That's
And-
the new Roadhouse for me now. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I'm gonna need to watch it again so I can see the parts that I missed.
that you slept through.
So what,
Yeah.
what were all the vehicles? The crazy vehicles you mentioned.
Yeah.
The cop, the meter maid mobile, the 3-wheel thing, snowplow,
No plow,
golf cart, helicopter.
Uh-huh.
Is that it?
Yeah,
He's
I think-
notorious for driving crazy junk.
Yeah. Yep.
Or
th-
clearly
that's it
having
for-
people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for this film. Like we mentioned in Beverly Hills Cop 1, they have the tractor, the double tractor trailer chase. In Beverly Hills Cop 2, he commandeers a cement truck.
Yes.
There's an armored car chase, and there's also a different truck chase at the beginning of the film as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blind spots in a snowplow.
Oh, there were so many. That scene was so great. So many good lines in there.
And this is sort of whatever. We've been sort of jumping over a little bit all over the place. But talking about production, I didn't spot any CGI. It seemed to me that everything was done practically, even when they're driving through, doing conversations in a car, like with his daughter, which usually they'd put him in a volume or a green screen. No, I think they had him on a truck and they were really driving him around. And that was one of the things, and again, I think it's just Mark Malloy, like we talked about, his love of the original films, and maybe his love of cinema just generally. He just I think he nailed it in every, if you wanted to do, this, what is it, Legacy sequel?
Legacy
John talks
sequel.
about?
Love that.
This guy's got it figured out, I think. Certainly.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could redo it with another film, maybe that he wasn't clearly, has such a reverence for, but including the practical, I'm just throwing the practical effects in there as another sort of, element that he nailed, I think.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning the cement truck because while we were watching, my husband was like, "Hey, didn't he drive a snowplow in the second one?" Because we rewatched both of those movies a few months ago.
Okay.
And I said, "No," and I was going to Google it. What vehicle? But it kept wanting to tell me about Axel F. And I thought, well, I don't want any spoilers, so I didn't continue. But yeah.
Actually, as I look at this, we got through most things. There's a couple of small things.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, hey, that was the show. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody.
Well, I have something I want to share. It's
Okay.
a follow-up to our discussion about the glass block windows
Oh, yes.
from last week. One of our
Close to my
listeners,
heart.
one of our listeners and patrons, Marcus, shared with me.
Oh, is it him behind a glass block wall? 'Cause I want to be if I can make out parts.
It's a photograph a picture that he took while he was in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share my screen so you can
Visual
see
aids.
what he saw. Yes, it's just going to take me a minute here.
Glass block Sasquatch.
Block squatch?
John's head's gonna explode.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Not on the screen yet. No.
Huh. it says StreamYard.com is sharing a
It's
window.
there, but you have to then say add to stage.
Oh,
it's just
right.
There it is.
There.
Lovely.
Thank you. Okay. So this is for the restrooms at an arena.
No. Pass. Let me guess. The urinal's like right below that window, right? So
No, but look, you can see the shadow of somebody.
Oh yeah, it looks like they're sitting down. Right? It looks kind
But
of
you
low.
don't know what they're doing for sure, and you can't really see who it is.
4 low flesh-colored squares. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. See. Oh gosh, I would not want to be in that situation. Or if this was someone's home and I went in, I was like, oh no, I can't use the bathroom while I'm here. I have to now leave.
Well, I don't think even if you mush your face up against it, someone could see who you are.
No, but they can see things. They get ideas.
Now, I want you to imagine how Marcus felt taking this picture.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because he
got a thing for bathroom windows, eh?
Yeah. He wasn't arrested, was he?
As far as I know, he was not. But he had just been listening to our live, just been listening, and then got somewhere, and then there was this.
There we go. Yep.
So I just had to share.
Well, Brandon's excited. He says, "Oh, those glass blocks will hide a Prince Albert."
Oh
no! There you go.
Oh,
low resolution. You'll never know.
Not if you like this, Brandon. Hey, I can see you have a Prince Albert. Dung, 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 dung.
I'm going to keep the glass block in my mind about the Prince Albert.
From it. Okay.
Just going to keep it that way.
But Albert or no would make a different sound when tapping on the glass.
What?
Wait, is the Albert tapping on the glass?
Well, one would be kind of fleshy, and one would be kind of like
okay.
Clink,
So I
clink, clink.
Tap on the glass so I can tell if you have a Prince Albert. Kat, the show's over. Come on.
This episode
gotta get out of here. It's getting out of control.
This was brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Karen Flieger and Rick Parker.
Thank you.
And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters, Nick Guillory, Matt Marino, John Henderson, Brandon Greer, Marcus Taylor, and Tony Gray.
Thank you so much, guys, for your continued support. We are eternally grateful for your support. If we can get another supporter, Prince Albert's all around. Everybody on the show is getting a Prince Albert. Oh, 3 of us.
John is protesting.
Kat, are you getting a Prince Albert?
Can I get a Prince Albert?
Oh, all right. You're figuring it out. Okay, that was a test. Yeah, all right.
Princess Alberta?
Oh, no.
With all sincerity, we love you guys. We thoroughly appreciate your willingness to support us with some money so that we can pay the bills and produce this show and publish it week after week. It does cost money. If you'd like to join these fine folks, Albert or Albertless, go to patreon.com/1980s now, and you can join in the fun. Or not. All right. Hey, that's all that. Seriously, check out this movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can?
Oh, gosh. You'd get, if it was magnetized, you'd get stuck in that can, maybe.
What?
It's like is your refrigerator running kind of bit. People phone. Yeah. Well, let him out.
I didn't know this was a magnet. Fling.
You know now.
Yeah. It's like when you come across a raccoon on the side of the road that's got its head stuck in a jar or something. Hang on, let me help you, little buddy. Stop fighting me.
So now I'm wondering if I should look this up to help minimize the horror that is now taking over my brain.
Kat, go to Pornhub.com. Type in Prince Albert. It's a royal...
WhiteHouse.com.
Yeah. Oh, yes, WhiteHouse.com. Brandon, thank you.
Thanks.
In spite of Prince Albert, he's saying that it was a wonderful episode.
He said in spite of? No, he didn't say that.
Spite of?
You're adding that.
I did add that in.
Because of.
Yes, right.
Oh, because of the...
Miss So's saying to look it up, Kat.
Oh.
Karen, thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody.
Open an incognito tab first. You don't want that in your search history.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know how to do that. I'll have to figure that out first.
Cat.
Wow. Cat, I'm just going to share my screen. Hang on.
No. All right, guys. Good night.
I have a video of someone getting Prince Albert.
No. Hard pass. It's just like how I didn't watch those beheading videos. Like, I don't want to see that because you can't unsee it.
No.
You know, there's things you just don't look at because you can't get it out of your brain and eyes.
Two girls in one cup. I still haven't seen that one.
I've still haven't seen that. Nope. I know what it's about, and that's enough.
That's hard enough to know. I mean,
Yes.
What?
Wait. Kat, do you know what Two Girls, One Cup is?
No.
Oh, my Lord. The world is so open to you still. You have so much to learn.
I would love to have her mind, like how clean it is. How carefree.
I know.
That Two Girls in One Cup was so upsetting to me. I Googled, like, please, I want to find something that says it was faked. It's not real. You know? CDI Arcade. Oh, I came into quite the topic.
Didn't that happen last time?
Welcome to the
CDI
show.
Arcade or
I'm
something. Was
guessing-
it you? CDI Arcade? Like, oh, I see. I've stumbled in
Possibly.
on an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'm
from
guessing
last
arcade
week.
maybe in a different time zone or something.
I don't know. But Miss So is telling me not to look up the last thing you mentioned. All right.
No.
Oh, yeah, don't.
None of those
John
things.
and I
No.
haven't either. No, we're not looking at
Okay.
it.
We only know it exists.
Horrifying.
Yeah, that's enough.
How do you know not to look it up, though? You must know something. You must.
We know what it is.
We hear
I
about
just
it.
don't want to see a picture of it. Or a
I've
video
heard
of it.
descriptions. It's been used in pop culture as a touchstone. Certainly
Yeah.
was in the 90s. It was right when video was starting to be on the internet.
Yeah, it was actually, I could tell you around when it was because I remember my father-in-law trying to get me to see it. And I was like, I don't want to watch that.
I don't want to. Yeah.
I want to say it was like 2008 or 9.
Oh, what date is that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
This stuff I don't want to see.
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, yeah. Brandon says it's fucking gross. Yeah.
I'll
Yo,
take
well-
your word for it.
All right. I'm gonna go.
There's no jokes to be made about it, Kat. Seriously.
No, just we're not kidding. Like, don't watch it. Wink. No.
Not.
Don't
Just-
watch it. Eyes full open.
Staying away.
Good call.
All right. Is that it, ladies and gentlemen?
I think so. You look.
We did it again.
What's that?
We did it again.
We did it again.
We did it again.
Whatever it was.
Mhm.
Yes. All right. Later. Thanks, everybody, for joining
Thank
us
Thanks.
live.
you.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Love to everybody.
Take care.
Take
Good
care. Talk to you
night.
again soon.